Hi everyone, good day. Are you ready for another math venture with Teacher Rev? Let's start our statistics learning journey.
And I can't wait so we can break apart the
Good day everyone. So today we're going to talk about data collection. Now let's start. How do we collect our data? Most of you will answer survey. Some of us will answer through interview. But we'll start with the basics first. Remember when we learned in the first part of our discussion in statistics, when the data come from the population, we gather the data through a census. And the characteristic of the data we gathered is what we call the parameter, just like the mean of the population or the standard deviation of the population. Those are considered as parameter because the data came from the population. Now, on another side, if we do not consider all the participants in the population, what we did is we get only a part of it, a representative of the population, then that's what we call the sample. When from the sample, we get the information through a survey, and from the survey, the characteristic of the data we gathered is what we call a statistic. Just like the sample mean or the sample standard deviation and sample variance, those are considered as statistic because the data came from the sample. Now, let's continue with data collection. We collect the data through a survey, which is conducted to know facts and to make conclusion out of the known facts and the information gathered from people. This information is what we call the data. Data have two sources, the primary and the secondary source, which are considered as the primary source of data. The primary source of data are the government institutions, the government agencies, and other organizations because this data that they have are factual about the person in our study. So if we want to get data that are factual, we can go to the government institutions or agencies. Birth certificate is one, death certificate, and other registration in other organization. Also, another source of data that we can consider as primary source are the information we get from personal interviews. Now, that's why we say that when a person want to hire someone, so if you're part of a company administration and you want to hire someone, it's good that you go for a primary source um, information. Why? Because these things, you have a personal encounter with that person, will somehow give you a bird's eye view of the point of view of this person depending on the answer in the interview. So those are the primary sources. The secondary sources on the other side are the sources that come from book, encyclopedia, journals, magazines, and research or studies conducted by other individuals. Just like when we want to know the number of recovered victims from COVID-19, if we want to know the daily recoveries, then we need to go to a secondary source, an online source, maybe on the World Health Organization or Department of Health page. We can go to that page and look for that, but we need to cite where we get the information, where we get the table that we're going to use or the data that we're going to use in our study. So that's it about primary resources and secondary sources. I hope you understand that very well. Hi guys, so today we're going to talk about how to determine the sample size with the given conditions. Now let's start with the Slovin's formula. Do you know that to get the sample size given the target population and the margin of error, we can use what we call as the Slovin's formula. In the given formula, lowercase n is the sample size, uppercase n is the population size, and E is the margin of error. In the formula, we have the sample size is equal to the population size all over 1 plus the population size times the margin of error squared. Now, take note that the margin of error are normally 1%, 5%, or 10% margin of error. Now, let's look at one problem. Researcher wants to conduct a survey to find out the opinion of residents in certain barangay on the ECQ implementation in their community. If there are 8,000 residents in barangay and the researchers plan to use a sample using 10% margin of error, what should be the sample size? If we are going to look at this situation, we can actually use the formula, the Slovin's formula, since the population is given and the margin of error is given. Now, let's use the formula write a formula. And the Slovin's formula is the sample size is equal to the population over 1 plus the population times the margin of error squared. Now, in this case, the sample size is missing and the population size is given provided that there are 8,000 residents in the barangay. So we have 8,000 for the population size. One is a constant. Then plus 8,000 times the margin of error, which is 10%, which when written in decimal would be 0.1 squared. So let's use our calculator since the values are kind of challenging. So we key in the fraction. We click on 8,000 in the numerator. We click on arrow down to go to the denominator. And in the denominator, we key in 1 plus 8,000 times 0.1. Then we click on squared. We click on equal sign and the value is 8,000 over 81 or 98.77. Okay, please take note of that. 98.77 rounded to the second decimal place. Now, it seems odd because n is a sample size and we are looking for the number of residents. So, our answer should be in whole number form, not in decimal form. Therefore, if we are going to round this off, the sample size is approximately about 99. Therefore, we expect that in the sample, 99 will be part of the survey that the researchers will conduct. So that's it on how we're going to use Slovin's formula in identifying the sample size given the population size and the margin of error. Hi everyone, good day. Are you ready for another Math Venture with Teacher Rev? Let's start our statistics learning journey.
And I can't wait so we can break apart the